So today, Justin, we're going to talk about data within point of rental.
So I've used database management a lot in my past, and because the business that I worked in was very sales heavy, one of the things that I did a lot was to take spreadsheets provided by manufacturers that had what is called MAP price lists or MAP policies, and that's a minimum advertised price. So what they require is anybody who is advertising their products to advertise at a minimum price and not advertise below that price. Doesn't mean that you can't sell below that price, but you have to advertise at that minimum price or higher. Otherwise, you can lose particular incentives such as co-op dollars, promotional programming, and if you're a habitual offender, you could even lose your dealership for that product. So as they would send those new price lists to us, we would do an export and then a reimport of those sales items to update the minimum advertised price in our sell price field. To make it easier, what I did was I hired a high school student part-time. And that high school student is now an electrical engineer. So
Nice.
that made it very easy. And you just make sure that the information is correct, upload it, and then you're in compliance with those policies.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. A lot of people are afraid of the database management module. If you do decide that you're going to hire somebody to handle it, it works out really well when they're the person who's doing it and they're familiar with it, and you don't have to take care of that. Many companies hire part-time or temporary staff to take care of their data, but having the ability, like I said, I used it all the time too, whether it was for reassigning sales reps, cleaning up item files, customer files, implementing price increases. There are so many things that you can do with these data management tools. It looks better to your customer when you're printing invoices and you don't have inconsistencies on your invoicing because of the naming of your items, things like that. So we encourage you guys to take a look at the data management module.
Plus, there's nothing like the feeling you get when a project is done. And if it's a small project, that's a pretty small endorphin rush. But when you update thousands of items all at one time, wow, your day just got a lot better.
So let's take a look at that. Can you take us to the data management module?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we go to the Tools button on the left menu, then Database Management, that will take us where we need to be. Today, what we'll look at are some of the tools, such as the item record or customer record import, the item record or customer record update, and the data management tools, which really are kind of the fireworks of the whole thing, right?
Right, that's right. Little shortcuts to
Exactly.
to cleaning up your data. That's my favorite piece. So you can never change the key and you can never change the number in this mass update, but there are many other things you can do. So we encourage you to go into the training database and take a look at these tools if you have them today. If you don't have them, let us know and we can get somebody to contact you to have them added. But we're going to show you the shortcuts that we have that will help you with some common scenarios in the rental industry and why you might want to use the data management tools.
So when you put in the data management module into your system and you click on the data management tools, you will be required to put in your credentials. That's because, was it Uncle Ben that said that with great power comes great responsibility? Not the rice guy, the Spider-Man guy. But it's true, right? This tool has the ability to make a lot of changes to your database very quickly. So if you're doing those changes incorrectly, you can ruin your world very quickly. So
it is an owner level password that is required, and that should maybe give you a sense of security that not everybody's going to be able to go in and use those tools, just so you know. And then it always gives you a warning. What is our what is the thing we say all the time, Justin? The thing we say all the time.
Do it in training first.
Yes.
No matter how good you are at this, no matter how many times you've done this, and maybe especially if you're really good at it, because if you get really good at something, you might get careless every once in
That's
a while.
right. That's
So
right. So try
always
it in training. Look at a couple records in training. Make sure it looks good, and then you can go on and do it in the live database. All
yep.
right. So we're just going to touch on a couple here. You can see that there are 18 options in here, varying from your rental rate adjustment to changing the case in the naming of your customers and the naming of your items. One of the most important pieces of running a rental business is having the ability to update your rental rates. And that is the tool that Justin just opened. What you can do is if you'll load that data, you can select specific categories just like he did there. And then once you click load data, it will add in the items where you're going to modify the rates. And you can do this easily. You can either export it and then re-import it on the top left there, or you can do, if you want to make it really simple, you can just change it by a percentage and you can round. Be careful with the rounding. When you get into small items like maybe utensils and things like that, that rounding can get a little tricky if you're comparing that to things like tables and chairs. So just keep that in mind, or backhoes for that matter. So, right. Over on the right side, I wanted to point out that there's an effective date there. So it's going to default to today. When we're putting in these changes, they're going to be live. But the other thing you can do is you can choose a future date. And then you can also choose an end date if it's not a permanent change. So if you had like seasonal pricing you wanted to do, you could do that with this tool. It's very valuable. The other thing would be that there are two really important check boxes there, which is the hold pricing on current reservations and hold pricing on open contracts. What that does is it locks in all of your reservations and open contracts. It locks the price in as a special rate for any item where you are actually modifying the price. It's not going to do it on your every single contract, but it's going to do it if you're changing the price of these items.
And if you are ready and you like the preview, because it's going to show you down here in the bottom, the preview of those items, it's going to show your current rates and it's going to show your new rates for each of the rental rates in your structure. So if everything looks good, you can scroll down that list and you can click update rates, and it will do that based on these selections that you have here. And
Excellent.
if you are not comfortable with it and you want to take another look at it, you can always say, ooh, you know what? Maybe on a day when I've had my Wheaties.
That's right. So I did want to point out one of the things. I used to use this tool all the time in the company that I worked at. If you do the export and you're going to re-import that file, be very careful that you don't modify the format of that file, because it does have new rate 1, new rate 2, new rate 3, all the way up to like new rate 8. So make sure that you don't delete columns and you leave the file as is. If you don't need data in those fields, just leave them at 0, but don't remove them from your file so that you are able to import it later.
Yeah, that's a great point. And if you do want to use an export and re-import where you're just changing one field and you want to eliminate the additional columns, well, you can use the update tools that we saw earlier.
But don't do it for pricing, because if you're going to do pricing, it's critical that you're locking in those prices on the reservation and open contract so that when you go modify those contracts, those prices don't change on you. Very valuable tool. Okay, so let's go back to our list. We're not going to talk in detail about everything here, but some of the examples that I can think of here is the change case, where we can change the way our wording looks. It looks more beautiful for your customers on your invoicing when you don't have misspellings and you are consistent in using uppercase, proper case, lowercase, things like that. Another thing that you can do, so you're going to choose the table there and the field that you're going to update and how you're going to update it, right? But other things that you can do with the tool is, have you ever Justin, have you ever had a salesperson leave your company?
Yep, that has happened.
Awesome. Let's go look at that tool. So, a really quick way that you can correct that. So, let's say that we have our customer records are assigned to, I'm going to say Melissa because Melissa was a sales rep that popped up before. So,
Right.
if we're going to update the salesperson and we're going to do it on the customer file, what we can say is where the customer file now has Melissa, she's left us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change that sales rep to a different sales rep, whoever you want that to be. And it literally takes a millisecond to do.
All you have to do is click go. But
All you gotta
because
do
I'm
is click
not
go.
in training right now, I'm not going to click it.
That's great. That's great. You are a great example to the way it should be done. All right, so let's look at our list again. Let's just see if there's anything else that stands out. Like I said, we encourage you guys to go in here, take a look and see, play around with these tools in training and see what they can do for you. So,
This is one of my favorites right here.
okay, awesome.
When you go into data field cleanup, you can choose which data field you want to address, whether it's your item files, whether it's your customer files, and then what field you want to clean up. My favorite is manufacturer. And the reason
Awesome.
for that is because you have any number of operators that are working in your item files that are entering the manufacturer name on the item record. And it's a free text field that is a live search. So if they're diligent and they start typing in the name, all they have to do is arrow down and select the name they want if it exists, or just use the mouse to click on it. Well, I don't know about you, Francis, but I haven't necessarily seen diligence as the
No,
top characteristic of every operator in my past, right? So you
there's
might
no
end
doubt.
up with any number of versions of, for example, ASmart
That's
in
right.
the system. So we've got ASmart with a space, we got ASmart without a space, we've got ASmart sales. What is the one that we want to utilize? Well, if it is ASmart sales, well, then all we have to do is click on this one and then type in ASmart sales. And click on the other one, ASmart with a space, type in ASmart sales. And when you click go, it will take these 2 item records and these 6 item records, and it'll update the manufacturer field to ASmart space sales. And then you will have all of them listed here under this record.
Gotta
So
love clean data, Justin.
clean data is the best.
All right. Well, we've shown you guys the data management tools. We encourage you to go in and look at all the other options in here. It's going to do a lot for you in cleaning up your data. Clean data gives you better reports, makes it a lot less frustrating. And we encourage you guys, if you don't have it, we encourage you to look into getting it because, like I said, one of the most important things in running a rental business is having the ability to change your rental rates. And this tool allows you to lock in the current rates and set up special rates that are temporary, like your seasonal pricing and things like that. So thank you again, Justin, for joining me today.
Yep, glad to do it.
And as always, if you guys need more information on this or you want to find answers for other things about the functionality within Point of Rental, if you'll just go to ULearn and then look up in the AI tool, it will give you all kinds of suggestions on what you're asking. And if it's not the answer you thought you should have gotten, give us a thumbs down so that we can learn from that. It's AI, it'll learn from it. Give it a thumbs up if it's right. Thank you for joining us today.
All right, you're welcome.